Right now, doctors in Georgia are responding to a new survey on Georgia's abortion law, why some say it's delaying life-saving care for mothers. Plus, the city of Atlanta has spent nearly $30 million to lift people out of homeless encampments and into housing. But is it money well spent? And don't feel like shopping? Maybe AI could actually do it for you. Credit card companies are looking at ways to let artificial intelligence agents handle your money. This is The Take. Hello and welcome to The Take. I'm Aisha Howard in for Chesney McNeil. Today, this is The Take, where we go beyond the headlines and we look at why and how stories are impacting you and your community. Our top story today, U.S. Senator Jon Ossoff released a survey late last month of Georgia doctors who say they're being forced to delay life-saving care. They say the reason is Georgia's abortion law, which outlaws abortion around 6 weeks into a pregnancy. Senator Ossoff's office conducted that survey in partnership with the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. Several of the doctors who responded said the law prevented them from following best medical practices for one condition in particular. This is called preterm pre-labor rupture of membranes, otherwise known as PROM. Joining me today is Dr. Lara Hart, a Georgia OBGYN who actually did respond here to that same survey. Well, welcome, first of all. This is so interesting here that we have kind of honed in on one illness in particular. Let's talk more about PROM and what does it actually mean? All right, can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
All right, Dr. Hart is having a little trouble hearing us today. We're going to try to get her audio here brought up in a little bit. But first, let's move on now to our other Georgia representative here in D.C. Senator Raphael Warnock held a town hall. Listen in to what he had to say as we talked more about all the bills that are going through the legislature in our nation and how people at home here are feeling about what's happening in D.C.
So the question is,
Senator Raphael Warnock came over the weekend and he was the latest Georgia lawmaker to face a pretty heated town hall. We've seen this all across the nation. Hundreds of people packed into Zion Hill Baptist Church in South Fulton on Sunday for a chance to ask him about President Donald Trump's policies and how Democrats plan to fight back. At one point, security had to step in when attendees shouted out about the Israel-Palestine conflict.
As incredibly important as this issue is, and it's a matter of life and death, it is. There are other issues here, and these folks deserve to be heard as well.
Just weeks ago, Senator Jon Ossoff faced similar questions from constituents there in Cobb County. And it's not just Democrats facing heat. About a week before that, some people were removed from Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene's town hall following outbursts of disapproval. And in February, Congressman Rich McCormick faced questions and demands from upset voters, mostly over the Trump administration's federal jobs cut. Senator Warnock faced similar questions on Sunday, but comments about what he hopes to protect drew some support from the crowd.
We're going to stand up for the CDC. We're going to stand up for Social Security and those who need it. We're going to stand up for qualified workers all across our federal agencies.
And we did stream that town hall if you would like to hear Senator Warnock's answers to those questions. Another big headline of the day, the collection of defaulted federal student loans resumes today. This comes after a 5-year hiatus. It was all paused during the pandemic. The government says defaulting can lead to garnishment of wages starting this summer. The Department of Education estimates about 5 million borrowers have defaulted on student loans. It says another 4 million are at least 90 days late on their payments. All right, stay with us. We have much more coming up. We'll be right back here. President Donald Trump sat down with NBC's Kristen Welker for Meet the Press. He defended his policies on immigration and the economy and tried to ward off fears about a recession. Joining me to dive a little bit deeper into that interview is NBC's Bianca Fascini. All right, so Bianca, thank you for being here with us today. What more did the president have to say specifically about the economy that impacts all of us?
Hey, thanks for having me on. So there are a lot of key takeaways about what he said about the economy, and I want to go over a couple of those points with you. First, I would say that he said about the health of the economy, he was asked about, how much of this is your economy and how much of this is the result of former President Biden. And he said that the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy. So he wants to take credit for some of the things that are going on, but certainly not for everything. I think it was also interesting that he elaborated on his cabinet meeting comment from earlier this week, saying maybe dolls might cost more, but Americans, quote, don't need to have 30 dolls. They can have 3. They don't need to have 250 pencils. They can have 5 in regards to tariffs and what that might mean for the supply here in the U.S. among a variety of different businesses, big and small, across all industries. He also notably downplayed recession fears, saying that he's not worried about a recession coming, but he also said anything can happen. And he also added that small businesses won't need relief from tariff policy, even though we were discussing just last week that the Chamber of Commerce reached out to the administration saying small businesses are telling us that they're really deeply concerned about what these tariffs are going to mean for their bottom line. And we hope that you can carve out some exclusions for them because many of these businesses are worried about being able to survive depending on how long this tariff policy lasts for. So he certainly remained committed to his economic policy and is continuing to promise Americans that his tariff policy in particular is going to make Americans rich.
Another policy that he's greatly committed to is immigration. The president actually called immigration the most important issue of his administration. So what did he have to say specifically about the critics of his mass deportations that we're seeing?
Yes, this is a very key part of his administration and arguably was the one issue that really won him back the White House. But Kristen Welker did ask him about Kilmar Abrego-Garcia. There was much really surrounded a lot of their conversation about immigration. And he said, I don't know, when he was asked whether he agrees that all citizens and non-citizens in the U.S. deserve due process. He also said that he didn't know whether he has to uphold the Constitution as president. So he's making it clear, I think, similar to the economic policy of his administration, that he has remained committed to his immigration policy. Of course, this is all regarding Kilmar Abrego-Garcia. He was wrongfully deported and sent to a prison in El Salvador. But as far as we know, the administration is not going to do anything to bring him back, despite what the Supreme Court has said. He also told Kristen Welker that he is surrounded by a lot of very intelligent lawyers who are explaining to him what he can and can't do, which I think is sort of why he gave maybe a bit vague of an answer, saying, I don't know what my responsibility is in terms of my duty to the Constitution as it pertains to due process.
Another big one that caught a lot of people off guard and is making headlines after that interview. President Trump made the announcement that he wants to reopen Alcatraz. What do we know about that?
So on Sunday night, he told reporters that he wants to reopen Alcatraz in order to hold undocumented immigrants. Now, mind you, this very famous prison is now a national park. It's not operational as a prison. It also only holds about 300 people. But Trump was telling reporters that it's symbolic of law and order, which he says is a big theme of his presidency and his administration's goals. So it really ties into the way his administration is approaching immigration and how they hope to carry out their immigration policy for the rest of his term. So we do know that Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, who represents San Francisco, said that this is not a serious proposal, already sort of being attacked by the other side here. It's also unclear if there are any other motives for him to want to open Alcatraz and what that would look like. It remains unclear, but definitely something that caught a lot of people by surprise.
All right, indeed. Bianca, thank you so much for being here with us today. We appreciate your insight from D.C. Now to Rome and the Vatican, where the final preparations are underway ahead of the conclave to elect the new leader of the Catholic Church. The ancient, highly secretive process to choose a new pope starts Wednesday. Now, this is going to be the largest and most diverse conclave in history. Once a new pope is chosen, he will go out onto the balcony facing St. Peter's Square, making his first remarks and give his blessing. We will be watching along with the rest of the world for that white smoke that says a new pope has been chosen. Back here at home, the city of Atlanta, we know, has spent about $30 million to lift people out of homeless encampments and into stable housing. But is it money well spent? Senior investigator Rebecca Lindstrom joining us this morning as some raise questions about this program. So Rebecca, I think most people support the idea of reaching out to people living in these cities encampments and kind of sorting out what can be done to help them. A lot of different ways to do that, though. We know that Lift 2.0 actually uses what's called the Housing First model. That's where you kind of get that person into stable housing and then you start to figure out, what they need to do to get official housing. Tell us about these programs and the impact that they're having. And again, people want to know, is this money being used the right way?
Right. And, there's the question, is it access to mental health or addiction treatment? Do they need documents like a birth certificate or ID to apply for a job? So far, the city says with its latest initiative, it has been able to help more than 1,800 people.
So where's the controversy actually coming? Because that sounds like a good thing, right?
It does sound like a great thing. To answer that, though, you need to know how LIFT is structured. The city hired the nonprofit Partners for Home to run the program, and then they contracted with 7 different groups to do the case management. It is those 7 groups that are actually working directly with the clients to figure out what they need. But we heard from a whistleblower, someone who works closely with this population, and they say that they're concerned that some people just weren't getting the case management needed. And that's when we started asking questions. We found clients like Brenda and Josie, who both felt that they were abandoned by the program and were facing eviction, even though our open records request showed taxpayers spent more than $41,000 this past year to help get them back on their feet.
And if they're providing your rent for a year, I'm assuming that what they're doing is basically trying to train you how to live and be able to provide for yourself.
And did they?
In that year? No, they never, not one time.
Clients told us this past year they have had a tough time getting in touch with their caseworker or even knowing who they were assigned. The group assigned to them denies there were any problems and that it was the clients who didn't follow through. Either way, the outcomes are certainly not what anyone would hope for.
So it sounds like there may be some kind of problem happening with this particular organization. But Rebecca, what have you learned about the program overall?
I think the big question that I have is how many of the success stories, remember they said 1,850 people, how many of those reported by Partners for Home are truly self-sufficient? Josie and Brenda will tell you they need some other program to help pay the rent if they are going to stay off the streets. Even though one gets disability and the other works, they can't afford the rent. I know many of the clients who have received permanent supportive housing, like vouchers, and I asked repeatedly for those numbers, and neither Partners for Home nor the city would tell me.
All right, Rebecca, that's one thing about it. When you have these programs and it's taxpayer dollars and there's a promise, you got to rely on us to come back and kind of do the follow-up to see what's happening. So if things are following through the cracks, we thank you for your journalism and investigation to kind of make sure everything gets pieced back together. Rebecca, thank
Absolutely.
you. And you can actually watch Rebecca's full investigation tonight at 11 right here on 11Alive Plus. We'll be right back.
Storms over the weekend did get up to severe criteria across much of North Georgia, both Friday and Saturday, resulting in a number of storm reports across the area. We had wind damage. We saw large hail. You'll notice, though, that the section of North Georgia, just south of the Atlanta metro, where we had a number of tornado warnings on Saturday evening. There are no damage reports there. The National Weather Service will be out kind of surveying and essentially looking for damage in those locations to confirm if a tornado did touch down. We do have one confirmed tornado from Friday evening. This was the one by Lake Lanier, and this moved through Hall County just before 7 o'clock in the evening. It was rated an EF1 with wind speeds up to 90 miles per hour. Now that cold front that produced all those storms through the weekend is well off towards the north, but a little bit of that wraparound moisture is still producing some cloud cover and even spotty areas of light rainfall in far north Georgia. We'll keep this throughout the day today. It just means that we're seeing varying views across the area. This is our view right now as we look from the University of North Georgia in Dahlonega. You can see that some cloud cover has certainly built in, whereas from the Atlanta metro area, this is from Northside Hospital looking towards the King and the Queen. We're a lot clearer with a few clouds on the horizon. Temperature wise, it is cool and comfortable. We're at 58 degrees right now in Atlanta with a light breeze out of the northwest at about 8 miles per hour. Temperatures have been warming up nicely, but there's still quite a few locations. A little chilly this morning in the 40s. We're at 49 in Canton, 47 currently in Blairsville, 56 in Gainesville. Throughout the day today, we'll hang on to periods of cloud cover, especially across those northern counties, and periods of more sunshine. A few more clouds start to build in later this afternoon as that wraparound moisture results in a couple spotty showers up into our far northern counties. Overall, rainfall potential is below 10%, so most of us will end up staying dry and we'll enjoy some of that cooler air with highs only in the low to mid 70s. It'll be very similar to the day we had yesterday, but I think with even more sunshine and perhaps temperatures a degree or two warmer. If it's not warm enough for you, we do bring in a little bit more of the warmth as highs climb back into the upper 70s by Tuesday afternoon, but it's short-lived. Rainfall returns to the forecast on Wednesday with our next incoming storm system, and that will keep our temperatures a little milder for the middle of the week. Here's that storm system now. It stretches through Texas. It's already producing one severe warned storm, and there's more of a severe weather threat really across the state of Texas and out into New Mexico throughout the day today, where scattered strong to severe storms are anticipated. Now, this storm system is what will bring the return of rainfall for our area by Wednesday, but by the time of that, it will be much weaker. So we're just talking rain. We are not talking any type of severe weather threat. It will kick off somewhat more of an active pattern as we go through the end of the week, though, and a low end rain chance will linger through Thursday, Friday, and perhaps even into the weekend. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome back here. This is The Take. We know some people use AI for a lot of things. It can help you plan a trip. How about deciding what to even eat for dinner? But would you let it buy things for you? We are talking about using your money. The credit card company Visa announced last week that it is partnering with AI developers to make this a reality. MasterCard is working on something similar. Visa CEO says the future of shopping could soon look like a lot of self-driving cars. So let's talk about it. Joining me now is Emory University Professor Rajiv. Tell me much more about how this works. What does this even look like, and what kind of purchases could this be good for?
So, this is essentially an AI agent which is doing the shopping for you. So as we see AI being used by companies out there to advertise product for us, like if you're buying, say, a laptop on Amazon, and there's so many features that you are interested in, but your data on your computer knows you better. And as a result, you say, I want to buy a laptop, rather than you going through a bunch of different pages. You essentially tell your AI assistant that buy me the best laptop. And as a result, it will find the best features for you for the right price based on the budget you set, and it'll place the order for you.
So does this mean that AI has direct access to your bank account?
So this is the thing, so we need to build trust first, and that's why the Visa and MasterCards are essentially credit card companies, and the AI will have access to your card number if those organizations allow you to spend with it, and they're going to provide some level of protection that in case you don't like the product, you should be able to return, right? So, or if there is anything wrong with the product, there's going to be zero liability kind of a setup in there. And that's what will build trust in these systems moving forward.
So how do you see it? Do you think that self-driving car description is actually the most accurate depiction to explain to people how this will work?
Absolutely. I mean, you're spot on by saying that. So in a self-driving car, you say, I want to go from A to B, and the car takes you. Here now, I mean, rather than you spending time doing all the searches and finding the right products for you, you tell the browser or the Chrome or your Apple Intelligence or your Copilot Plus PC that buy me this product, and it will buy it for you. Save all the time of searching through the thousands of products that are available online.
And so the life, as the Jetsons, it feels like it's definitely arrived, right? And you never thought that we would get to these places. And a lot of people are kind of warming up to it. I just recently kind of took my AI life to the next level with just how much you're willing to give information into this data. But you think about it, you feel like all your information is out there anyway. But people do want to know the steps that will be taken to make sure your money is safe. Would your money be safe?
So this is where I think, so my answer, the short answer is yes. It depends on the banks to build that trust. If banks or the credit card companies like Visa and MasterCard don't do the right thing in enabling the trust from the consumers, the AI systems it'll take much longer for the systems to be adopted again in the future. So they have to essentially provide you with enough guardrails on the purchasing limit, on what you want to buy, what you don't want to buy. And as a result, they will be able to provide that trust and safety for your money.
All right, really quick, do you think this is something we could realistically see in the near future?
Oh, absolutely. So my expectation is within the next 2 years, 20% of our shopping, or interaction with these e-commerce platforms will be done by AI. So within 2 years, because these systems, the amount of information that is flooded to us, that is given to us anytime we search something, it is much, much meaningless because we are finding these products that have no value for us, but they still show up in the recommendation system. Recommendation systems are essentially AI systems built by the e-commerce platforms or the website to give us something that they think we want. But we should have our own AI agent. So our agent negotiating with their agent that Rajiv doesn't want all that stuff. Rajiv wants this. And if you're going to give me this, I'm going to buy from you. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next person. So it's kind of like car buying, but now rather than you buying it, you hire an agent who will buy it for you.
All right, now I really feel like I'm really going to feel like my phone is connected to my brain. Rajiv, thank you so much for joining us today and kind of breaking all that down. All right, before we go, my final take on the 2025 Met Gala happening tonight. The theme, Superfine Tailoring Black Style. This theme dives into the profound influence of Black men on the fashion industry. This is actually the first menswear focused exhibit in the Met since 2003. So when you think of Black men's fashion, one key moment might come to mind. The stir felt around the world when then President Obama wore that tan suit during a White House press conference. But the style of Black men that makes people stop and stare, it goes back decades. Think Harlem Renaissance or even Andre 3000. Tonight's gala is a bold cultural statement in a political climate marked by debates over race and inclusion. So to see a demographic of men who carry a weight that only they can tell you about, I'm proud to see them elevated and celebrated for the recipe to the sauce that only they can bring. Thanks for watching The Take.